on structural pipe welding butt joint on mild steel pipe of diameter 50 mm and 3 mm of wall thickness in 1G rolling position. Let us look at the objectives of this session. At the end of this session, you will be able to cut and prepare the MS pipe as per drawing. Set the pipes in flat position. Select nozzle, filler rod sizes, gas pressure and flame. Set the root gap and tack weld the pipes. Deposit root run from 3 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Clean and inspect for surface defects. The tools and equipment used for butt welding of pipe joint are hacksaw, metal files, bevel protractor or multi-weld gauge, bench vise, welding table and welding fixture, oxyacetylene welding OAW equipment, wire brush and chipping hammer. Here is the procedure for welding a butt joint on an MS pipe of diameter 50 mm and 3 mm wall thickness in the 1G position using the oxyacetylene welding OAW process. First step is to cut the pipes to 75 mm length by hacksaw and file its end square to 75 mm length. Ensure that the pipe ends are clean, free from rust, grease or other contaminants and beveled to the required angle. The bevel angle of single pipe should be approximately 30 degree and the gap between the two pipes should be 1 to 2 millimeters. Clamp the pipes and align the two pipe axes in 1G position so that the joint is in a horizontal position using a welding fixture or a welding table. Set up the OAW equipment including the welding torch, oxygen and acetylene cylinders and regulators. Now, fix number 5 nozzle. Select 1.6 mm diameter CCMS filler rod and set 0.15 kg per centimeter square pressure for both gases. Ensure to wear proper personal protective equipment before starting the welding process. First, set the neutral flame. Then, tack weld in 3 places, that is 120 degree apart by keeping 1.5 mm root gap between the pipes. Now, divide the pipe circumference into 4 segments. Also, ensure to keep the pipe horizontally on the fixture. Deposit the root run starting from 3 o'clock position to 12 o'clock position, that is, first segment using proper blowpipe and filler rod angles. Maintain a consistent welding speed and filler metal deposition rate. Now, turn the pipe joint in the clockwise direction to make the end of the root run or first segment to come to 3 o'clock position. Continue to weld the root run for the second quarter segment as like the first quarter. Similarly, complete root run of third and fourth segment. Ensure the root penetration by maintaining a keyhole at the root throughout the root run. Clean the root run by steel wire brush. Now, fix number 5 size nozzle. Select 2 mm diameter CCMS filler rod and set 0.15 kg per centimeter square gas pressure. Set neutral flame and fill the V groove by depositing the second run using slight weaving to the blowpipe to fuse the faces of the V properly. Ensure that the weld bead is uniform and flush with the pipe surface. After completing the weld, allow it to cool slowly to prevent any cracking. Finally, remove the clamps and clean the weld with a wire brush to remove any slag or other debris. Let's recap the key points discussed. Cut the pipes to 75 mm length by hacksaw and file its end square to 75 mm length. Clamp the pipes in 1G position. Tack weld in 3 places, that is 120 degree apart, by keeping 1.5 mm root gap between the pipes. Starting from the first segment, deposit the root run segment by turning the pipe joint in the clockwise direction. Clean the root run by steel wire brush and deposit the second run. Ensure the weld bead is uniform and clean the weld with a wire brush. This brings us to the end of the session. Hope you have gained a good understanding about the pipe welding butt joint on mild steel pipe in 1G rolling position. See you in the next session. Hello, welcome to the session on fillet lap joint on mild steel plate of 10 mm thickness in 3G vertical position. Let us look at the objectives of this session. At the end of this session, you will be able to prepare and set the job in vertical position. Select electrode, current and polarity. Set short arc and tack weld. Deposit root and welding run. Clean and inspect the surface defects. The tools and equipment used for fillet lap joint are metal files, welding table, wire brush, chipping hammer, weld clamping, and shielded metal arc welding SMAW machine. Here is the procedure for fillet lap joint on mild steel plate of 10 mm thickness in 3G vertical position using shielded metal arc welding SMAW. The first step is to cut the plates as per the required size and prepare the square edges using metal filing. Next, the plates should be aligned in parallel to each other with one plate overlapping the other vertically. The lapping distance should be 25 mm. Then it should be clamped securely to hold the plates in place during welding. In 3G position, the welding is done vertically upward, which means that the joint is perpendicular to the ground. Ensure to wear proper personal protective equipment before starting the welding process. Now, tack weld the two plates. Ensure that the surfaces of the plates are parallel to each other and there is no gap between the plates after tacking. Clean the joint with the help of wire brush. Now, deposit the root run in short arc to improve the weld penetration. For this, select 3.15 mm diameter medium coated mild steel electrode and set 110 ampere current. After performing the root run, deslag with a chipping hammer and clean the joint with a wire brush. Then, inspect the weldment area visually to check whether the weld penetrations are proper. Now, deposit the intermediate run with short arc and weaving motion. For this, select 4 mm diameter medium coated mild steel electrode and set 150 to 160 ampere current. After performing the intermediate run, deslag with a chipping hammer and clean the joint with a wire brush. Finally, deposit the final run in weaving motion at uniform speed. For this, select 4 mm diameter medium coated mild steel electrode and set 150 to 160 ampere current. After performing the final run, remove the clamp and clean the weldment area with wire brush. After that, inspect the weldment area visually. Let's recap the key points discussed. Prepare the square edge of the two mild steel plates and place properly in the vertical position for the welding. Select a 3.15 mm diameter mild steel electrode and set 110 ampere current. Deposit the root run with short arc length and by a very slight weaving motion to the electrode. After the root run, perform the intermediate and final run with the same procedure as the root run. After each run, do the cleaning and inspect the weldment area. This brings us to the end of the session. Hope you've gained a good understanding about the fillet lap joint on mild steel plate in 3G vertical position. See you in the next session. Hello, welcome to the session on open corner joint on mild steel plate of 10 mm thickness in 3F vertical position. Let us look at the objectives of this session. At the end of this session, you will be able to prepare and set the job as per drawing. Select electrode, current and polarity. Set the short arc and tack weld. Deposit root, second and third weaving runs in upward direction. Clean and inspect for surface defects. The tools and equipment used for open corner joint on MS plate are 2 mild steel plates of 10 mm thickness, shielded metal arc welding SMAW with a suitable welding electrode like E6010 or E6011, metal files, clamps, welding table, wire brush, and chipping hammer. Here is the procedure for open corner joint on mild steel plate of 10 mm thickness in 3F vertical position using shielded metal arc welding SMAW. First step is to clean the 2 mild steel plates by using wire brush. Prepare the square edges on the plates for the better fusion after welding. Position the 2 pieces to be welded in 90-degree angle vertically and hold them in place using clamps. Then maintain a uniform root cap of 1.5 to 2 mm and tack weld the 2 plates together to form an 87-degree angle between the inner faces of the plates. Clean the joint thoroughly by using wire brush. Now, we need to weld the joint vertically upwards. For that, we need to provide 3 layers of welding. They are root run, intermediate run, and final run. First, we will start with the root run. Take 3.15 mm diameter electrode and set 110 ampere in the welding machine. Start the welding by beginning the initial arc on the joint. Then proceed the welding in vertically upward direction. Maintain an electrode angle of 80 degree to the line of weld and give weaving motion to the electrode. Once the root run is completed, clean the weldment area by using wire brush and inspect the weldment area visually. Then start the intermediate run over the root run. For this, take 4 mm diameter electrode and 160 ampere welding current. The angle of the electrode should be 80 degree off the line of the weld and the arc length should be short. Once the intermediate run is completed, clean the weldment area by using wire brush and inspect the weldment area visually. Then, deposit the final run over the intermediate run. For that, take 4 mm diameter electrode and 160 ampere welding current. Maintain the same welding angle as used in the previous runs. Once the final run is completed, clean the weldment area by using wire brush and inspect the weldment area visually. Let's recap the key points discussed. Prepare the square edges on the mild steel plates and position the 2 pieces to be welded at 90-degree angle vertically. Take 3.15 mm diameter electrode and set 110 ampere in the welding machine. Tack weld the two plates together to form an 87-degree angle between the inner faces of the plates. The three layers of welding in open corner joint are root run, intermediate run, and final run. Clean the weldment area by using wire brush in each run, and finally inspect the weldment area visually. This brings us to the end of the session. Hope you have gained a good understanding about the open corner joint welding on mild steel plate of 10 mm thickness in 3F vertical position. See you in the next session. Hello, welcome to the session on pipe welding elbow joint on mild steel pipe of diameter 50 mm and 3 mm of wall thickness in 1G flat position. Let us look at the objectives of this session. At the end of this session, you will be able to draw the development for elbow pipe joint. Prepare the pipes as per drawing. Set root gap and tack weld. Weld the elbow joint in flat position. Clean and inspect the weld defects. The materials required for pipe welding elbow joint are mild steel pipe of 50 mm into 3 mm, metal files, tri-square, dot punch, ball peen hammer, hacksaw, drawing sheet and drawing instruments. Here is the procedure for pipe welding elbow joint on mild steel pipe of diameter 50 mm and 3 mm wall thickness in 1G flat position. Develop the pipe surface drawing on the drawing sheet and keep the size to full scale. Remove the unwanted portion of the sheet other than the elbow profile. Roll the developed elbow in the drawing sheet around the pipe end. Now trace the elbow profile over the pipe surface by a marker or scriber and remove the drawing sheet from the pipe surface. By using dot punch and ball peen hammer, punch the curve path over the pipe surface and clamp it in the bench vise. Remove the unwanted part of the pipe using hacksaw. Then, file the burrs from the edges of the pipe after sawing out. Similarly, prepare the other pipe by following the same procedure. Thus, we have prepared the mating faces of the pipes. Now, the joint will be in the form of ellipse. Align the pipes in a horizontal flat surface for tacking. The root gap used in the joint is 1.6 mm. Set the gas cylinder pressure to 0.15 kg per centimeter square and set the flame as neutral. Use number 7 nozzle CCMS filler rod of 3 mm diameter. Tack the 4 segments of the face. Weld the joints by manipulating the blowpipe and filler rod in one run using 3 mm diameter CCMS rod. The order of sequence of welding is 2 to 6, that is segment 1, 10 to 12, that is segment 3, 10 to 6, that is segment 2, and 2 to 0, that is segment 4. Ensure to maintain the keyhole and end the weld of each segment properly to get the root penetration. Clean the weldment area with wire brush and inspect it visually. Let's recap the key points discussed. For the pipe elbow joint, develop a pipe surface drawing on a drawing sheet and prepare 2 pipes to join at an angle of 90 degrees. Using dot punch and ball peen hammer, punch the curve path over the pipe surfaces to prepare the mating faces of the pipes. Maintain the order of sequence of welding as segment 1, segment 3, segment 2 and segment 4 respectively. Clean the weldment area with wire brush and inspect it visually. This brings us to the end of the session. Hope you have gained a good understanding about the pipe welding elbow joint on mild steel pipe of diameter 50 mm and 3 mm of wall thickness in 1G flat position. See you in the next session. Hello, welcome to the session on single V-butt joint on mild steel plate of thickness 12 mm in 3G vertical position. Let us look at the objectives of this session. At the end of this session, you will be able to prepare the job as per drawing, bevel the plates by gas cutting, set the job with root gap and tack weld, deposit root, second and third runs in vertical position, clean and inspect the surface defects. The tools and equipment used for butt welding of single V joint are mild steel of 150 into 50 into 12 mm, shielded metal arc welding SMAW with a suitable welding electrode like E6010 or E6011, metal files, clamps, welding table, wire brush and chipping hammer. Now we will see the welding procedure for single V-butt joint. Prepare the metal pieces for edges by beveling. The bevel angle of both the plates should be 30 to 35 degrees. While beveling the edges, it is essential to maintain the root face as 1.5 mm and the root gap as 2 mm. Ensure to wear proper personal protective equipment before starting the welding process. Now, preset the plates to 177 degrees on the root side of the joint and tack weld on both ends with correct alignment. Use 3-point 15mm diameter mild steel electrode and 110 ampere current. Deposit the root run starting from the bottom of the plate in upward direction and maintain a uniform root penetration. The angle between the electrode and the weldment axis must be 80 degree. Also, the angle between the plates and the electrode must be 90 degree. After completing the root run, clean the weldment by chipping hammer and wire brush. Now, deposit the intermediate run by using 4mm diameter electrode and 150 ampere current. Use weaving motion of the electrode for intermediate run. After the completion of intermediate run, clean the weldment from slag thoroughly. For depositing the final run, use 4mm diameter electrode and 150 ampere of current. Proper weaving motion of the electrode is necessary for final run. Remove slags using chipping hammer and clean the weld bead thoroughly using wire brush. Finally, inspect the root penetration, undercut, blowholes and excess reinforcement. Let's recap the key points discussed. Prepare the mild steel plates for edges by beveling. The bevel angle of both the plates must be 30 degree to 35 degree. Deposit the root run starting from the bottom of the plate in upward direction. Deposit the intermediate run by using 4mm diameter electrode and 150 ampere current. After final run, visually inspect for root penetration, undercut, blowholes and excess reinforcement. This brings us to the end of the session. Hope you have gained a good understanding about single V-butt joint on mild steel plate of 12mm thickness in 3G vertical position. See you in the next session.
Hello students, welcome to the welder trade. In continuation of our learning, in this topic we will learn about the pipe flange joint on an MS plate with an MS pipe with a 50 mm diameter and a 3 mm wall thickness. 1F using shielded metal arc welding.
Objectives: take a full-length MS sheet of 3 mm thickness. Mark an internal and external circle on a square plate. Cut the internal and the external circles using oxyacetylene gas cutting. Clean the plate with a steel wire brush. Inspect the cutting for any external deformities. Now, let us look at the tools required for the preparation of a flange joint on an MS plate, marking and cutting with an MS pipe 50 mm by 3 mm WT using the oxyacetylene welding process. Steel rule, scriber, prick punch, ball peen hammer, flat file, bench vise, tri-square, tongs, chipping hammer, steel wire brush, electrode cable and earth cable, electrode holder, electrode, personal protective equipment, SMAW welding plant machine and their setup accessories. Weld gauge, circle cutting guide, marking material, C-clamp. Now let us see the welding preparations for a pipe flange joint on an MS plate with an MS pipe 50 mm by 3 mm WT 1F using shielded metal arc welding. Begin by obtaining a full-length MS sheet with a thickness of 3 mm. Apply marking media such as chalk over the MS plate. Using a ruler and a scriber, mark the cutting size as 100 mm in length and 100 mm in width. Punch mark along the marked lines using a prick punch and a hammer. Set up the hand shearing machine on the welding table. Place the marked sheet on the shearing machine, ensuring it aligns with the cutting line axis. Gradually apply pressure on the handle to ensure a straight line cut. Check to ensure that the sheet remains undistorted during cutting. If any distortion occurs, place it on the anvil and remove the distortion using a hammer. Use a tri-square to check the squareness of the plate. Thoroughly clean the sheet, removing any oil, grease or dirt. Let us see how to perform the cutting process of an MS plate and an MS pipe with a 50 mm by 3 mm WT for a pipe flange joint using the oxyacetylene welding process. Place the sheet on the welding table. Have a spring divider ready for drawing the circle. Inspect the spring divider to ensure it is in working condition. Prepare a marker and scriber for marking measurements. Find the center of the 3 mm thick square plate by drawing two diagonals and making a dot at the intersection of these diagonals. Using a dot punch. With the spring divider, scribe a circle with a 25 mm radius at the center of the square plate and another larger circle with a radius of 45 mm. Set the acetylene gas pressure to 0.15 kg per centimeter square and the oxygen gas pressure to 1.5 kg per centimeter square for cutting the 3 mm MS plate. Create a neutral flame and preheat the center point of one of the plate's edges until it reaches a bright red hot condition or kindling temperature. Depress the oxygen cutting lever and manually move the torch from the edge of the plate to the punch-marked circumference of the larger circle. Utilize a roller guide and a circle cutting attachment to start cutting the larger external circle with a 90 mm diameter. Move the torch from the pierced hole towards the circumference and complete the cutting of the 50 mm diameter hole using a small circle cutting attachment. To cut the internal circle, first pierce a small hole about 10 mm inside the circumference of the 50 mm diameter circle. Move the torch from the pierced hole towards the circumference and complete the cutting of the 50 mm diameter hole using a small circle cutting attachment. Clean the cut edges with a steel wire brush. File the inside face of the cut edges using a half-round file.
Recap. In this topic, you have learnt how to obtain a full-length MS sheet with a thickness of 3 mm. Mark both internal and external circles on a square plate. Cut the internal and external circles using oxyacetylene gas cutting. Clean the plate using a steel wire brush. Inspect the cut for any external deformities. Hello students, welcome to the welder trade. In continuation of our learning, in this topic we will learn about the pipe flange joint on an MS plate with an MS pipe with a 50 mm diameter and a 3 mm wall thickness. 1F using shielded metal arc welding.
Objectives. At the end of this topic, you will be able to mark both internal and external circles on a square plate and cut the internal and external circles using gas cutting. Insert an MS pipe into the internal circle and tack weld it. Weld the pipe to the flange using the arc welding process in the 1F position, rolling. Clean the joint using a steel wire brush. Inspect the weld bead for any external defects. Here is a list of the tools required for the pipe flange joint on an MS plate with an MS pipe of 50 mm by 3 mm wall thickness 1F using the shielded metal arc welding process. Steel rule, scriber, prick punch, ball peen hammer, flat file, bench vise, tri-square, tongs, chipping hammer, steel wire brush, electrode cable and earth cable, electrode holder, electrode, personal protective equipment, SMAW welding plant machine and their setup accessories, C-clamp. Now, let's examine the pre-welding preparations for a pipe flange joint on an MS plate with an MS pipe measuring 50 mm by 3 mm in wall thickness 1F. Acquire a full-length MS pipe with a 50 mm diameter and 3 mm wall thickness. Use a ruler and scriber to mark a 50 mm length on the MS pipe. Cut the MS pipe using a hacksaw. Deburr the edges with a file and ensure a clean finish. When tacking the pipe with the gas cut flange, ensure it's maintained perpendicularly. Use a 4 mm diameter electrode for tacking. Set the current to 120 amps. Perform the tacking at 4 places on the other side of the flange joint. Maintain a fillet size of 3 to 3.5 mm. Here are the steps to perform the welding process of a pipe flange joint on an MS plate with an MS pipe diameter 50 mm by 3 mm WT 1F using shielded metal arc welding. To weld the joint in a 1G rolling position, use a weld fixture. Secure the tack welded joint in the welding fixture. Make it convenient to weld in a 1G position and complete the weld in 4 segments 1, 2, 3 and 4. Maintain a short arc as close as possible and keep an electrode angle of 45 degrees between the plate and pipe surfaces. Follow the weld sequence to help control distortion. Begin by welding the first segment 1 in the downhand position. Deslag the weld bead with a chipping hammer. Clean the weld with a steel wire brush. Rotate the joint by 180 degrees and weld segment 2 in the downhand position. Deslag the weld bead with a chipping hammer. Clean the weld with a steel wire brush. Weld segment 3 by rotating the joint on the fixture to bring the segments for welding in the downhand position. The weld deposit should cover about 10 mm of distance over the previous deposit to ensure crater filling and continuity in the root penetration. Deslag the weld bead with a chipping hammer. Clean the weld with a steel wire brush. Similarly, weld segment 4 by rotating the joint on the fixture to bring the segments for welding in the downhand position. The weld deposit should cover about 10 mm of distance over the previous deposit to ensure crater filling and continuity in the root penetration. Deslag the weld bead with a chipping hammer. Clean the weld with a steel wire brush. Check the fillet size with a weld gauge. Now, we will discuss the important points to follow for a pipe flange joint on an MS plate with an MS pipe of 50 mm diameter and 3 mm wall thickness 1F using shielded metal arc welding. Ensure that the necessary safety precautions for gas cutting are diligently followed. Verify that the pipe is positioned at a 90-degree angle to the plate surface while tacking. Ensure proper crater filling at the end of each segment during welding. Implement appropriate safety precautions during arc welding and deslagging. Let's also consider the defects that can be identified during the inspection process. Cracks. Spatters. Improper bead. Undercut. Improper fusion.
Recap. In this topic, you have learned how to mark both internal and external circles on a square plate and cut them using oxyacetylene gas cutting. Insert an MS pipe into the internal circle and tack weld it. Weld the pipe with the flange by arc in the 1F position. Clean the joint with a steel wire brush. Inspect the weld bead for any external defects.
नमस्कार, मैं दिव्यांशी चौहान।
नमस्कार, मैं भगवती जबनाल। आप सभी का सीएससी कड़ी की तीसरी चर्चा में आपका स्वागत करते हैं।
हमने अभी तक बात की सीएससी सेवाओं के बारे में, जिसमें त्यागी सर ने हमें सीएससी का एक ओवरव्यू दिया। साथ ही हमने बात की पीएमजी दिशा योजना के बारे में।
अभी तक हम सुनते आए हैं स्मार्ट सिटी के बारे में। कल्पना कीजिए एक ऐसा गांव या कस्बा जहां नागरिक सीएससी द्वारा दी जाने वाली सभी सरकारी और गैर सरकारी सुविधाओं का लाभ उठा सकते हैं। यह कल्पना सच किया है डिजिटल विलेज ने।
इस योजना के बारे में अधिक जानकारी देने के लिए हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं सीएससी टीम से